All right, well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Connection Hangout. Tonight is the Corporate Connection. Tonight we have some very, very special guests. We just came off this amazing Mexico expedition with the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation in partnership with Choice Humanitarian, and it was truly a life-changing experience. I've invited some guests from ASEA Corporate as well as from Choice to be on with us, as well as some field associates who were there participating as well. So we're super excited to get this underway. What I'm going to do now, without further ado, is go ahead and pass it over. By the way, let me introduce my co-host, David Asarno, out there in Marietta. Welcome, David.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
Good, good. Sorry, I'm just excited, man. I'm excited about tonight's guest we have. But how's Marietta, Georgia doing?
We're doing awesome. We survived Snowgeddon.
Snowgeddon, right? What was the other one? What was the other one the other year? For the polar vortex or Arctic vortex?
We had the polar vortex. Yeah, we don't right now. It's raining, so we don't have the polar vortex hitting us.
Very good, very good. All right, well, let me pass it over to you, and if you could bring on tonight's first guest, that would be fantastic.
Awesome, thanks, Paul. So tonight I'd like to bring on our first guest, Bob Fries. Bob is the Managing Director of PR and Communication for ASEA. Welcome, Bob. So, Bob, why don't you give us a little bit of an overview on how the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation came about, its mission, partnership with Choice for this expedition?
Okay, awesome. It's great to be with you tonight and to talk about something I'm extremely passionate about, and that's the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation. I've been with the company for about 18 months, David, and when I joined the company, one of the things, in addition to the amazing products that we offer and the business opportunity, was kind of the culture that I heard as I interviewed with our executives, and that was this culture of wanting to give back and make a difference, the ethos that Tyler Norton talks about so much. And when I came aboard and we started to plan for 2015, in addition to the things that I do on the PR and marketing and communication side, I saw that we were doing some things from a charitable giving standpoint, one-offs here and there, but that at a 5-year mark, it was kind of time for the company to do something formal. And so as a part of the recommendations I made to our executive committee and founders at the end of 2014 was, let's do something formal. Let's create a foundation that will be the catalyst for us to do charitable giving, to make a difference in the world. And so made that recommendation, and it was just, received so well, and the founders and executive committee said, let's do it, go for it, let's put together kind of a strategy for that. And as a result of that whole process, we formed what we are calling the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation. And for those that kind of know the background of ASEA, Advancing Life was kind of a tagline that we used in the early days of the company from a marketing standpoint, but we had kind of moved away from. And so when I was recommending names to the executive committee and founders for the foundation, I thought Advancing Life was perfect, and Tyler Norton in particular loved that. We formed the foundation, and then we started to look for our initial charitable giving partner. We're never going to have the resources internally to organize missions or expeditions or initiatives. And so part of the model of this is to find partners that we feel good about, work with them, and then through that do the work of the foundation. Tyler Norton about 8 years ago had done a mission with Choice Humanitarian, who's headquartered here in Salt Lake City, recommended that I take a look at them, and when I started to talk to the people at Choice, including Leah Barker, their CEO, and others, I saw a model that was amazing, sustainable, long-term, which I think is important. It's not just throwing money at a situation. It's looking at a strategic plan, partnering with local villagers in third world countries and helping them develop a plan that will improve the quality of life in their community, and that's what the choice model is. And so we decided, as we announced the formation of the foundation at our May International Convention this past year, to also announce our initial partnership with Choice. And if you remember, for those of you that were there, the first thing that we did, because we had decided to do a mission in Mexico, but that was going to be months off, the earthquake in Nepal had just occurred, and we announced, as we announced the partnership, a $10,000 corporate donation to Choice to help the relief efforts in Nepal. And then Tyler challenged associates to match that. Well, kind of with the heart of our associates, immediately they came out of that session, we collected donations, and they matched it on the spot. And then over the ensuing weeks, we raised another $10,000 from our associate base. So we made a donation to Choice for $30,000, which was amazing, you know, just right out of the box. And then we started to plan for this mission in Mexico. And one of the reasons we chose Mexico, it's one of the countries that Choice operates in, but also it's a country where we started to do business in 2014. It's become one of our fastest growing markets, and it's a place where we wanted to give back, where there was a need, and we wanted to give back to that country. And so we decided to do a mission in central Mexico. We opened it up to our associates, and we brought some corporate people. I think, Paul, there was 23 associates on the mission and about 12 from corporate. So we took 35, which is about as large as Choice wants to take on a mission like this. We've just come back from an amazing mission, and I'm going to turn it to some of the associates to talk about that. But kind of the next steps, I think there's some interest in what's next after Mexico.
Yeah, what is next?
So one of the things that we're in the process of is finalizing our application for not-for-profit status or 501c3 status. So not only will we be able to continue to do corporate donations through the foundation, but if associates are interested and want to give back, they'll be able to donate directly to the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation. And for instance, if they wanted to give $1 a month, check that off, you know, as a part of their compensation. The other thing that we're doing is kind of reconvening here and deciding, you know, what is next. And part of that is looking at not only what we might do with Choice, but we want to look at opportunities. This was, and you will hear from people, this was a pretty physically demanding week-long mission, and not everyone might be able to do that. So we're going to look for opportunities that, you know, will engage associates at every level around the world and grow this thing, you know, not only with third world work, but work in other markets that we are currently operating in, the U.S., Canada, Germany, or wherever. And we'll be making some decisions. We may announce some things before convention, but we'll definitely have some announcements at convention. So that's kind of where things stand, and I'm going to turn it back to you guys so that you can hear from associates about the amazing week that we just had in Mexico.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Bob. What I'd like to do now, though, is to move actually over to Choice Humanitarian, and I'd like to bring on the Director of Expeditions, Jordan Menzel, who actually joined us, was with us the whole time throughout this amazing trip this last week, and let him give an overview on Choice as a whole, and maybe give us a report card on how we did here as a group with ASEA. So please welcome Jordan Menzel.
Well, great. Thanks, everyone at ASEA. You know, it's only been now just a little bit over a week since we've been back, and I loved being a part of the ASEA culture, and I do miss spending those late nights in very fun conversations hidden away in corn cellars, kind of learning about the company, but more than anything, just kind of absorbing the culture that you guys have built. So I'm thrilled that the work you guys have got going, you know, is able to involve Choice. And Bob gave a great overview of kind of how that relationship built up, I'd love to just kind of talk about what Choice does both with respect to expeditions and how the work of the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation kind of fit into the work that we do well after an expedition leaves. Choice has been around for over 30 years, and it was really founded to tackle the issues facing rural community extreme poverty abroad. And so that when we kind of hear oftentimes the discussion around individuals or families who live below $2 a day or below $1 a day, those are the communities that Choice was really founded around to help support as they, as community members, kind of identify solutions to get out of their, you know, the situations that are really challenging. And so to date, after these 30 years, Choice operates in 7 countries, a handful of countries in Latin America, including Mexico that we talked about, also Guatemala, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and then in Kenya and also Nepal. And many of you, thanks to everyone who contributed to the Nepal Relief Fund earlier of last year. That's had a huge, huge impact. And so in each of those countries, how the Choice model of development works is in every country there's a local native in-country director who has an in-country team. And so in Mexico, for example, we worked closely with a gentleman named Juan Alducin, who's been the in-country director in Mexico for over 20 years. And he's built up a local team of villagers and community leaders who've identified an interest to work in their own communities to get out of poverty. And as they've built that team out, what they do is year-round, they're working with village leadership who's expressed an interest to partner with Choice. And they're working with that leadership to identify areas that community may want to tackle. That could be dealing with health projects, it could be dealing with education projects, that could also be dealing with things like basic water collection and storage or sanitation issues or medical center issues. There's a range of areas and projects that are relevant to each community, but what Choice does is it works with village leadership to identify the projects that are most important to them. It then helps train village leadership as well as community members on how to leverage their own resources, whether that's monetarily, whether that's leveraging local municipal funds at the community level, the district level, county level, or even at the national level, and then also matching their efforts with Choice funds to then carry out those projects little by little. And so at any given point, Choice is working with village leadership year-round on projects similar to what I just mentioned. Now, where expeditions fit in is expeditions are a really unique opportunity where we oftentimes will partner with companies or foundations like the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation, and also private families or friends or community groups who decide that they want to not only support development abroad, but also do so in a first-hand way. And so expeditions are a really kind of thoughtful and appropriate opportunity where a community at a certain stage of its development will open itself up to allow the infusion of enthusiastic support, also you know, good desires to dive in and kind of support the work. But expeditions are also a great catalyzing fundraiser. And so every time an expedition goes down, it will typically accelerate a community's normal cycle of development anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And just for example, the ASEA Advancing Life expedition in Mexico was able to complete in a very short amount of time 10 water collection cisterns, which are very large projects, 8 stoves, 8 ovens, and 5 chicken coops. And for context, those projects that we were able to complete along with the Choice preparation beforehand in, let's say, you know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks of preparation with the community and the week of our actual expedition, that would have traditionally taken our community, which was called La Concepcion, somewhere between 8 to 9 months to actually carry out. And so expeditions are a huge opportunity to accelerate that work. But most importantly, above and beyond kind of supporting the work that villagers have already started, expeditions are an amazing opportunity to change our perspective about poverty in general. We live very closely with community members, and so that could mean, which I think we'll hear about, that could mean camping in semi-constructed homes, that could mean camping in corn storage cellars, and it can also mean staying with a few families who've invited some members into their home. We will eat together, we will work together under their direction, and most importantly, we will exchange those important elements of what it means to be a global citizen. And so we're learning about life in communities, and they're also teaching us about the strengths of their communities, how they work together, the importance of family and community, and having high goals and working hard to complete them. And so we are invited guests to learn from community members and really support the work that they're carrying out. And so expeditions with partnerships like the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation are critical because they help both sides of the poverty challenge, meaning those of us, you know, in developed economies, as well as those who are working really hard to get themselves and their families out of poverty. They help us really gain a mutual understanding, and I think they help all of us understand the complexity of being global citizens now. And for Choice, these partnerships not only sustain, you know, a particular project, but they build relationships that help support the ongoing development that takes place well after a foundation or an expedition might leave. And for me, as kind of the expedition director, these are some of the richest relationships that we see in the entire organization, is when companies rally their energy and their culture and infuse that in these types of opportunities. We learn a lot. And so it's been a great relationship, and it will be very fun over the coming months to see how the work that took place in La Concepcion moves forward, and the momentum, you know, we will definitely continue to share with everyone at the ASEA Advancing Life Foundation. So that's generally how expeditions fit into our program.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you for sharing. Next, we're going to have to move Jordan. Thank you. Next, I'd like to bring up Senior Vice President of Sales for ASEA, Craig Daly. Craig? Except, Craig, you're muted. We can't hear you. We still can't hear you. Paul, can you unmute him? Craig is muted. Craig, you're muted. We can't hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now.
You got
Welcome.
me. Okay. Sorry, I thought I was unmuted.
No
just
problem.
wanted to spend a little bit of time and tell you about the experience that I had. We had a great time. I was able to take my 16-year-old son, and it was an eye-opener for him. We were the ones. I was sleeping right next to Paul every night. There were 7 of us in a corn shed, and it was quite an experience. I think there were 4 people that snored out of the 7, so we had a chorus of snorers going on.
Wasn't me.
No,
wasn't me.
Paul was not one of them. Paul was not one of them. So he was one of the 3 that didn't snore. We're not going to expose anybody that did, right? But we had a great time. Great conversations. We were cold at night. We had to sleep in our coats and 3 pairs of socks. We had a great time. It was a wonderful time to get together, be with people, get to know people a little bit better. When you serve with people and you get together and you help other people, you get to know each other that much better, and you gain a stronger love and a greater bond for one another. And I think, if I look back at my experience, the thing I gained from this trip more than anything else is a knowledge that when you go serve people, you develop a strong love for that people. And I couldn't speak the language. A lot of people that could. Jordan speaks Spanish. I couldn't speak Spanish. My son couldn't speak Spanish. But it's amazing the deep love that you develop for people when you actually go serve them. And I feel the same way about the people that I served with. We had a great time.
What was it like having your?
What's that?
What was it like having your son there with you?
You know what? Having my son there was great. Number one, I was proud of him. He got in and worked hard. He was in a different group. We broke into 8 different groups, so it was kind of nice. I think he was able to go off and work with another group, and then we would meet up later on. But I was able to hear his stories. He was super excited about it. He came home incredibly excited about it. Shared it with his friends and his brothers and his mom, and he had a great experience. So. It was good for us too. It's one of those experiences that you share. It's a shared experience that he and I will always have, that I'll always remember. So it was a fantastic opportunity. I can't thank Choice and ASEA enough for allowing me the opportunity to go and be involved.
Awesome. Oh, you're muted now.
Yeah, I know. I hit it twice. I was so excited. But no, it was great to be with our 6 roommates there in our corn storage, public storage unit there. Quite an amazing experience, and to see Zach there as well as Tyler had brought his son as well, and Chuck had brought his daughter. To see all the kids just get involved, smiles on their faces the whole time was really, really heartwarming, to say the least. Okay, let's shift gears here a little bit and move over to a couple that actually, one of the couples that actually came, were there together, Hugh and Ann Jennings. Got to know them very, very well. We actually had some extra time together after the event wrapped up as well in the little town of man, I keep forgetting the Tequisquiapian, and we had some great times and got to spend a lot of just great moments together. So please welcome Hugh and Ann Jennings.
Paul, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to sort of share our story. I got to tell you that at convention, when I heard ASEA announce that we were going to on this mission, I sort of had a little trepidation. This is generally not something I would have normally volunteered for, but Annie, of course, turned to me and she said, "I'm going." So I realized that guess what? I was going too. So the funny thing to think about it is, you asked me to sort of comment on us, what our perspective was like from a couple's perspective. And interestingly enough, we actually, on purpose, separated into 2 different groups. So we almost operated as 2 completely different independent volunteers. But as we came together in the evening every night, we suddenly realized that we were actually having almost the identical experience. Every single team was having the same experience, connecting with individual families in their homes, and we sort of lucked out. We were blessed to have some great roommates, and we were blessed to be invited into somebody's home, which we didn't. We were denied the opportunity to sleep in the corn bin, but.
But we have our own stories to tell too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but anyways, I gotta tell you, the connections that we made with the villagers, it was pretty astounding. I really didn't quite understand just how serious the connection was until Friday morning when we actually were leaving. Listening to Marion Skinner, basically interpret the villagers' gratitude toward us. Was so touching. It actually brought a tear to my eyes, and I'm I guess one of these macho guys that generally don't cry much, but I was very touched, and my comment now is whenever and wherever I'm in.
Actually, we're going to say it's not an I am, it's a we're in, because I came back from a week knowing it was going to be challenging, having been in inland Mexico before, so I was aware of some of the conditions that we might be facing. So I was one of the first to make sure that the ladies were taking their extra toilet paper with them to the bathroom, for example. You learn to deal with the conditions. What I wasn't expecting, I don't think, was some of the physical work, because yes, we're building water cisterns, but we were the cement mixers. And so, very duplicatable efforts, as we all commented. We taught them and showed them, well, we were taught, and then we were showing the other villagers how to be able to do it on their own. That was a little tough. I was one of the older women, so I found some muscles I hadn't found for a while, but that didn't deter me. The cold conditions didn't deter me either. When you walked into the dining room, or the dining tent, I should call it, in the evenings, and there were the ladies there to greet you and to say thank you, and the children to laugh with you and to just come up and embrace you for no reason other than you were there. It was pretty darn touching. We started the trip with Tyler asking us to keep in mind the company ethos, and every night you would go through the list of the ethos, and believe, belong, become, gratitude, the 3 questions, the human elements. Boy, it was so right on, and it made sense that ASEA was doing this. And I love the family that we now have among the 35 of us that went. There's something pretty special that's there. And as I wrote to you today, Paul, I'm still looking at the pictures, and I cry and I smile, and my heart is just so full. So yes, we're in. So we'll see you on the next go around of it.
Definitely.
Awesome. So I'd like to invite Ed Weems on. Ed, are you here?
I'm here.
Hey. Wonder if you'd be willing to take us home with a summary of the event and some words of wisdom.
Listen.
And some words of wisdom, because it sounds like you've done years of missionary work.
Well, I'm an old missionary's kid. I grew up on the mission field, born on the mission field, and I got to tell you, being back in the village in Mexico, it brought back a lot of memories of being in a similar setting in Peru growing up. My wife Rebecca was along. She's peeking over the rail. You can see her in the background. She's peeking over the rail, but she doesn't necessarily be on. But it was a great experience for both of us. And several observations that first of all, I got to compliment and shout out to my roommates there, Hugh and Ann. We were fortunate as well to be able to share a space in one of the local villagers' homes. And we just learned that when you travel with somebody, you learn a lot. You get to know them, but when you actually room with them, you really get to know them. And we just decided that there's a lot of things that happen in Mexico, just stay in Mexico. But it was a great experience, and just several things I would like to point out. First of all, my gratitude to ASEA for creating such an opportunity for those of us in the field to participate in. A lot of companies have charitable outlets and do service projects. But sometimes you've got to just know the right people, or you've got to be in the right spot, or have the right rank, or whatever. But this was really opened up to the field on kind of an opt-in basis, and I just appreciate ASEA making that available to those that wanted to participate. I really appreciate the fact that there was tremendous buy-in from the top. It wasn't just let's have a bunch of associates go do this project. They stepped up and led the way. We have our founder there, our CEO there, our president there, our director of sales there, the director of the foundation, our events coordinator. I mean, folks that this really could have easily just left it up to those in the field to do, but they were there right alongside, working just as hard as anybody else was, and really demonstrated the heart of service and the heart of compassion that this company has, from the top all the way down, throughout the ranks. And I appreciate that a lot. It was a hands-on experience. I've been a part of projects before where you kind of go in and you just sort of watching people do all the work, and the fact to be able to do the work, roll up our sleeves, get our hands literally dirty and in the mix, and to participate. I didn't do a lot of sweating. It was just too cold to sweat, but it was great to have hands-on. Bob handed me somebody handed me a couple of placards. Maybe it was the Choice folks, and said, "Hey, take a couple of pictures with these signs." And one of them said volunteers, and the other one said, "What is your why?" And I grabbed that one because to me that just resonated. I focus on that a lot. I think that's something that we in the field. In fact, not just folks in ASEA, but everybody needs to identify what their why is. And if you go to my Facebook page, that shot of me holding that sign, "What is your why?" is kind of now my profile shot, and probably will be for some time. So this was a very why fulfilling mission for a lot of folks. Certainly was for me. It really helps give you outlet for your purpose, your passion in life, and I likewise look for more opportunities to do that. I appreciate the work that Choice did to make preparation for us. When we got to the homes, there was a tremendous amount of work had already gone in to get the materials there, to have the folks that are ready to help out, and that made a huge difference. I mean, we could have spun our wheels had not Choice laid the groundwork and made our productivity possible by their preparation. So my hat's off to them. I've been a part of service clubs. I was president of a large service club in the Pacific Northwest, and this was the most service-oriented expedition. I've been on other expeditions as well. One of the things that Rebecca and I did a medical mission to a village in Nigeria a few years ago, and that was wonderful and fulfilling, but we have often sometimes wondered how much residual benefit there was after we had left. This was different in the sense that what we did for the villagers is something that will last on literally indefinitely, and to create something for them that will literally impact the quality of their life and their ability to provide for their families from now on was extremely fulfilling. So we know that when the rains come in La Concepcion in April, May, and June, there's some folks there that aren't going to have to carry water in buckets this year because they've got a cistern. The little mother with a 2-year-old daughter and 2-month-old twins who was having to cook on an open fire, which obviously is a very poor, wasteful of her resources and poor efficiency, to now have a brick-lined oven to cook for her family in. And we know that that's probably being cooked in even yet tonight. That's fulfilling. It's gratifying to know that folks have ovens now to be able to, again, prepare for their families, and they've got shelter for their chickens or their livestock. That's just gratifying. So when we're comfortable here in our homes or wherever we are, we know there's some folks in some part of the world that are a little bit better off and more comfortable than they were before we went. So it's a long-lasting residual benefit, and I just value that part of it. I'm excited about the fact there's going to be future expeditions. We've had a lot of conversation on the Facebook pages, and I've told a few people, I said, you know what, when the next one is announced, you better be first in the line or get trampled in the rush, because there's not going to be any vacant spots. So I want to thank Jordan and all the rest of the folks that helped make this expedition what it was. It was extremely fulfilling, challenging, very memorable. I know that Tyler challenged some of our group early on this year in a goal-setting exercise to think back over 2015 of everything that we'd experienced that year that we would remember for the rest of our lives. Well, I can tell you that when we look back at the beginning of next year over 2016, one of the standout experiences that we'll forever cherish is this expedition that we had to Mexico. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Thanks so much, Ed. That was a great summary. I want to thank everyone for their participation tonight, from Bob Fries, Jordan Menzel, Craig Daly, Hugh and Ann Jennings, and you again as well, Ed. It was great to be with everybody, and I totally concur that for our next expedition, everyone better be at the front of that line, because when they talk to anyone who was there, they're going to know that they don't want to be the second or third, okay, because I'll probably not get into it. All right. Also want to thank my partner there once again, David Asarno. Thanks for being with us, David.
And thanks, Paul, for pulling together this wonderful panel we had tonight.
Right on. Okay, everyone, thanks again for being with us tonight. Go out and have a fantastic rest of your evening, rest of the week, and I'll see you later. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Bye-bye.